Very good afternoon to all. This is Dr. Kabda Kanchkatla. Today I am here to discuss that paper 2, that is the global warming and environmental changes. Uh, Already in last class we discussed about that what are the chapters which are present in that one. Uh, Actually, the chapter names I was already mentioned. Once again, I repeat that one to recollect that. What are the chapters we completed. Uh, in that last class, we already completed that. First one is the block one, which includes what is Earth radiation budget, sea level rise, and unit two, and that the third one is the global warming and greenhouse gases, and fourth one is the impact of global warming, and fifth one is the green solution to the global warming and control, and also discussed the black two ozone depletion, um, and also conclude also that as a ozone depletion, as well as a unit 6 in black two and unit 7 in the consequences of the ozone depletion, and unit 8 greenhouse green solution for the production of the ozone layer. These are the units which are covered under the two blocks, and the first one is that global warming and second one is that ozone depletion. Now we are in that third chapter, means block 3, that named as a climate change. In this chapter here we included that weather and climate, consequences of combat changes, green solution to combat the climate changes. And next one is the climate changes in India. And third one and 13th one is the green climate change in the agriculture. How that particular climate changes are can affect the changes in that agriculture. Okay. And now here I'm sharing my screen. Uh, Now here I'm sharing my screen. Wait. Sorry, this is not one. Just wait a minute. I want to show. Wait. Wait, I have some connecting issues here. Just wait. Yeah. And this is the paper, block 3, chapter name was the climate change. So, what is that climate change? So, what is the climate change? What are the causes and what are the effects and what are the solutions? Which all these three topics are covered in this chapter. First of all, coming to the first one, what is the climate change? A climate change refer to a long-term shifts in temperature, weather patterns, and the atmospheric conditions on the Earth. While the natural variations have occurred over the millions of years. A recent climate change is primarily driven by the human activities. And what are the changes which can be takes place in nowadays in the present situation? For the all the changes are by the humans only. What are the human activities which are performed daily? These are causing that climate changes directly or indirectly. That's why I mentioned here the climate change is primarily driven by the human activities. Climate change refer to sorry, climate change refers to a long-term shifts in temperature, weather patterns, and atmospheric conditions on Earth. While natural variations have occurred over million of years, a recent climate change is primarily driven by the human activities. This is the climate change definition. Then coming to the next one. Uh, Then coming to that next one, causes of the climate change. What are the main causes for the climate change? First one is the natural causes. First one is the volcanic eruptions release the carbon dioxide and aerosols that impact the global temperatures. Mostly high. These are the compounds can show the highest 80, 90 to 99% to 100%. Nearly 70 to 78% of the impact can be caused by the volcanic eruptions. Why? Because when one volcano is a erupted, it is a lot of carbon dioxide will be released, lot of aerosols will be released. There is a lot too much temperatures, and the lava will be burned for the so many months like that. So then what will happen? The temperatures and the gases, what is the dust, what are the things which will happen? That is unbearable things. That's why first one takes place in the first one at the volcanic eruptions in the natural causes. Then next one is the solar variations. Change in solar energy output influence the earth climate. So change in the solar energy output. So solar energy output influence earth means the how much amount of the radiation which can be reached to the earth. For example, 100% of the solar energy and UV radiations can reach to the earth, but that some amount which can be used by the human activities and the plants for the photosynthesis and other activities. Some of them is utilized, and the remaining some part need to escape from this space. Is nothing but from this atmosphere, but that will not happen due to that global warming. Due to that global warming, that's why we mention here as the energy output influence at the climates. This is the solar variations. And then coming to the third one, ocean currents and the cycles. Events like the AI influence effect of the global weathers. So these are the main things. These are the two currents which are affect that global weather. That is the neurophilia, neurophilia. Then coming to that, next one is that the human induced causes. What are the human induced causes here means the greenhouse gases emissions. Greenhouse gases, the short form of the greenhouse emissions are also called as the GHG. The burning fossil fuels is nothing but the coal, oil, gas into atmosphere. Mm, Releases into atmosphere, then can increase the concentration of the carbon dioxide. The main driver of the global warming is nothing but the carbon dioxide only. That is the big brother for the global warming. And then coming to the methane, CH4 from agriculture, livestock, and the landfills traps 25% more heat than the carbon dioxide. When methane gas is the most heated gas. Not a methane gas is a heated gas, but it can create the hotness, and it can add the temperature to the atmosphere when compared to the carbon dioxide 25% more, 25 times are the more. Second one is the nitrous oxide from fertilizer and industry is 300% of a more potent than the carbon dioxide. These are the 300 times more potent than the carbon dioxide. Methane is 25% more potent than the carbon dioxide. And these are the most important greenhouse gases which were emitted sometimes naturally and some other fertilizers and artificially. Naturally here means agriculture, livestock, landfills. These are the natural things. Then what are the human activities here means the production of the nitrous oxide in the form of the fertilizers from that industries. That is the man-made thing. Then coming to that deforestation. Deforestation, already we all are know about that deforestation. Trees, uh, uh, trees, the trees absorb that carbon dioxide, but a large scale deforestation reduce this capacity. And so when carbon dioxide is absorbed by the large scale, the deforestation reduced in this capacity. Then coming to the next one, industrial and agricultural activities, factories, transport, and the intensive farming contribute to the air pollution and the emissions. The industrial and agricultural activities, for example, factories, leather factory, paper factory, pharmaceutical industries, steel factories, iron factories, and the intensive farming contribute to the air pollution and the emissions in the large scale. Then coming to that next topic, the effects of the climate change. Then what are the effects of the climate change? How that climate can be affected due to this? What are the changes which will happen in that particular climate? In that before that one, before the that one, we are just you are going to recall the what are the natural causes and what are the human made causes one more time. What are the natural causes here means volcanic eruptions release carbon dioxide and aerosols that impact the global temperatures, and solar variation change in the solar energy output influence at the climate, ocean currents and the cycle event like an elephant affect the global weather. And what are the human induced causes are nothing but the greenhouse emissions, burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas releases carbon dioxide. The main driver of the global warming is nothing but the carbon dioxide. And the next one is the methane, which can be produced from the agriculture as well as the livestock and along with the landfills. It is a more potent, 25 times more potent than the carbon dioxide. Then coming to the nitrous oxide, it is mainly emitted from the fertilizers and the industries. It is a 300 times more potent than the carbon dioxide. And when compared to the carbon dioxide and methane, nitrous oxides are the most dangerous greenhouse gases. And coming to the next one, that is nothing but the deforestation. The trees absorb the carbon dioxide, but large scale deforestation reduce this capacity. Industrial and the agricultural activities, the factories, transport, and intensive farming contribute to the air pollution and the emissions. And coming to the third one, effects of the climate change. Coming to the third one is nothing but the effect of the climate change. So here we are going to discuss about the how that climate is affected due to the changes which are takes place in our atmosphere or in the climate. Right. First one is the rising the temperatures. The global average temperature has been increased 1.2 degrees Celsius since pre-industrial times. When we compare it to the temperature before the industrialization, the earth temperature is the normal. The highest temperature in that midsummer is not more than the 42, 40 or 41. Maybe at 39 and 40, 41. These are the highest temperatures that before the pre-industrial times, but after the industrial times, the earth temperature will be increased gradually. Now the highest temperature point is nothing but 48 degrees centigrade, 49 degrees centigrade. Sometimes it is a 50 degrees also. In that summer, we are not bear that much of heat. We faced a lot of dehydration and sunburns and sunstrokes, each and everything there is a and no availability of the water. So lot of side effects will be there. There is no groundwater. All the places almost can face the water scarcity due to the temperature. The plants and animals suffered a lot because of the rising temperature. This rising temperature is the one of the side effect of the climate change. The average temperatures are increased due to that global warming. Then in 2023 was one of the hottest year in the record. So the just a previous year, that a previous just before that previous year, that is nothing but 2023 was one of the hottest years on the recorded. Then next one is the extreme weather events. What are the extreme weather events? Why we mention here as a extreme? Extreme is nothing but that particular thing which can change, which can turn from it's a moderate state or from medium state to it is an unbearable state. It is not in our hands. Only we have it is how it, we don't have the capacity to change. We cannot hold that particular thing. That's why we call it as a extreme weather events. But here, from till now, from this minute also, we can change. We can follow the regulations. We can follow the environmental policies. What are the World Health Organization guidelines according to the water, according to the earth, according to the air, and what are the vehicular emissions, what are the guidelines, what are the remedies which can be chosen by the environmentalist and the scientist. We can follow from that, then we can change that our environment or weather conditions slowly. It will be controlled or it will be in hands after nearly it will take to 10 to 15 years time. Why? Because we dragged the trees in that way. That's why we mention here as the extreme weather events, more intense hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, and the wildfires. These are the extreme weather events when the extreme weather conditions will take place in our surrounding atmosphere. The more intensity of the what are the hottest air which are surrounded one year on the atmosphere, it can be raised easily and it can create that low pressure content. Then it will converted into a here hurricanes and the heat waves in that midsummer, then droughts, and well as the wildfires. It can be naturally will happen due to the extreme weather events. One of the extreme weather event is a wildfire. It is naturally happen due to the high temperatures. Then continue heavy rainfall and flood in some regions. Yeah, it's happened in previous years in 2023, in 2024 also it is happened. Uh, we also see that when heavy rains in that October, November, in the November month and October months also, and floods. And while other faced desertifications and all. Then coming to the third one, melting ice and the rising the sea levels. Already we discussed that one in that last two chapters, as we know. Again, here they mentioned as the melting ice and the rising sea levels. The polar ice caps and the glaciers are the melting due to that global temperature. What as the temperature will be increased because of that heat. The polar ice and the ice caps and the glaciers are the melting, causing the sea level. When that particular ice can be melted, the sea level can be raised. The coastal cities like New York, uh, ja Jakarta, and the Mimim are the a risk of the flooding. These are the coastal cities like New York and some other places are the risk of the flooding due to the polar ice caps and the glaciers. In some regions, the floods will happen due to the rivers and due to the oceans and some other water bodies which is present near to that location. But here, when that the polar ice caps and the glaciers are melting, the sea level will be raised. Then the sea levels will be raised. The water, the melted ice can and interrupt into that water, ocean water. The water capacity is the increases. Then what will happen when the temperature will increases? The water need a more space. The water need a more dense. It need the more space. It is try to occupy the more space. That's why the floods will happen due to the temperature and melting of the ice in the areas of the coastal cities like New York, Jakarta, and Mumbai. Then coming to the next point, the ocean acidification and ecosystem disruptions. Disruptions. So increase the carbon dioxide absorption levels, lowers ocean. So then why the ocean waters get acidification? So what is the acidity? What is the acid content and what is the basic content? What is the neutral quantity? So the pH levels is the above 7 is nothing but the acidic, and the pH level is below is nothing but the new basic. And what is the when the pH level is the 7, that is nothing but a neutral. Increased carbon dioxide absorption, increase the carbon dioxide absorption lowers the ocean pH. When the ocean can absorb a large amount of carbon dioxide, then what will happen? The ocean pH value can be decreased. That's why the water get changes into a acidic in nature, the harming coral reefs and the marine life. When what will happen? When the water get acidic, then what will happen? What are the coral reefs and that what are the beautiful coral reefs which are present in that aquatic ecosystem, as well as the marine life? What are the fishes and what are the aquatic and marine life which is present in the aquatic system that can be disturbed? And that water is not suitable for anything. It may be anything. It may be disgusted, and the species face a uh, extinction as a habitat change too quickly for a further adoption. So what will happen? What are the species and what are the marine life which is present in that particular ocean? They are going to change their habitats from one place to another place due to the tasty quantity will be increases. There is a no not favorable conditions. The water is having some burning sensation, and the eyes of the aquatic life will be beginning. It may be affect their digestive system, their lung system, and their reproductive system. That's why what are the marine animals which are present that can have or show the interest towards to change the habitats quickly from one place to another place. This is the one of the drastic change in our climate. If that will be happen, uh, it can be changed from one version to another version. In a changed version also the acidity will be high. The ocean is acidified in condition, then what will happen? They are going to extinct on this earth. There is no marine life in the future. That is a very bad situation. We don't want to encourage that type of climate changes in our surroundings. Then come back to the next one. That is nothing but impact on human health and food security. How this climate changes can impact on human health as well as the food security. So here, heat stress and vector borne diseases, example malaria, dengue, and the respiratory problems are increased. Why? Because means the heat stress, when the temperature will be increases, we are going to irritate. We are feeling that some irritation condition in our body, some mind, the mind will not in cool. Now, why? Because the temperature will be rising, that some changes. Our body needs a more amount of water, more amount of coolness. That's why we are feeling some stress. That is nothing but the heat stress. And as the vector-borne diseases, for example, malaria and dengue, and what are the some other chikungunya, or some other fevers will be there, that are nothing but these are the vector-borne diseases, and the respiratory problems are increases. Then what will happen? This pollution will happen. The global warming can changes the air quality. Also, the respiratory problems will be high. The particulate matter between the 2.5 to 10, it is a not suitable. They are easily can enter into our respiratory systems and damage our respiratory system when we inhale the carbon compounds, nitrogenous compounds, and sulfur compounds continuously. We are going to feel the stress, some giddiness. Why? Because these are the not a good gases. In this way, the human health will be affected. Then the crop failures due to the droughts and the unpredictable weather threaten the global food supply. Yes, it is very true. I can agree this one. In the present situation, in the present nowadays also, we are in this point, at this point only. Why? Because there is no quality in the foods, there is no quality in the leafy vegetables, there is no quality in the fruits. In our childhood time, then what we will get the mangoes and that watermelons in that particular summer season only. Why? Because in that season only, these are the favorable conditions for that species of the mango and that watermelon, karbuza, and what are the remains summer special fruits. But in present situation, in the present tense, we can get a mango at any time. We can get, we can enjoy the watermelon at any time. You can enjoy that muskmelon at every time. We are going to change. We are going to change the what are the natural process, what are the natural conditions of the particular species. Then what will happen? What are the goodness and what are the vitamins and what are the proteins? What are the good special contents which are present in that particular type of food? It cannot created naturally. It can be created and dominated by the artificially. The quality of the food will be changes. The chemical, what are the flavored, what are the chemicals and what are the fructose, and it will change the taste, and as well as the what are the positive benefits of the particular fruits will be changed. So that can directly affect our human health. This is nothing but a food security. Shall I repeat this one? The crop failures will happen due to the droughts. Yes, there is no rains, there is no water in that rivers, there is no water in that ocean, there is no water in that ground level also. The droughts will perform, the droughts will making uh, fun on the surface of the earth. Then what will happen? The unpredictable weather. Summer in summer season, we are getting cold. In the winter season, we are getting hot. There is no rains in the month of the August and September. July, August, and September. So these are the unpredictable weather conditions will takes place in the due to this globalization and industrialization in the present decade. So we are going to concentrate on our weather changes and pollutants also. Yes. Then coming to the next one, solution of a climate changes. And what are the solutions of the climate changes here? Mean reducing the greenhouse emissions. Reduce the greenhouse emission. How we can reduce that greenhouse gases emission? In that way, in that wing, we are going to take the three steps. In that first one is the renewable energy resources. That is nothing but the a transition of solar, wind energy, hydro energy, and geothermal power. So these are the best renewable energy resources to control the greenhouse emissions for the burning of the carbon coal, for the burning of the biofuels as well as the carbon compounds that are nothing but the renewable energy resources, and transition to solar, wind power and hydro and as the geothermal power. The next one is the energy efficiency, improving the buildings and appliances and transport efficiency. Energy efficiency is nothing but improve a buildings in the what are that? Building technologies. Building technologies are nothing but in the construction companies, in the construction area and appliances. We are going to use a number of applications. When we are going to get that hot water, we are going to start that heater, greaser, and the hot water kettles, charging points, power points, birds, Bluetooth, and everything appliances we are going to use. But at anything we are going to use in our life, but please concentrate on your energy efficiency, how much energy you want to need, that much of energy you can drain from that source of the energy, that remaining will be left. That is called as a sustainable development, a sustainable environment. And the transport efficiency here is nothing but better to use the public transport, for example a metro, RTC, and all. Better to share uh, your motor vehicle is nothing but the car with your colleagues and friends to control the carbon emissions and also help them. Then coming to the next one, carbon capture and the storage. This is also called as a CCS. Here, why we mention this is CCS means a carbon capture storage technologies to remove the carbon dioxide from the air. So, by using this technology, you can remove the carbon dioxide from that air. These are the three practices to reduce the greenhouse emissions, to reduce that greenhouse emissions. Then coming to the next one, sustainable practices. What are the sustainable practices? Here are nothing but we are going to use that particular natural resources as we need. That remaining will be not disturbed and not wasted. It will be stayed. It will be keep left for their future generation. This type of practices are called as a sustainable practices. Reforestation and the afforestation both are the same. Re means you have to kept it not completely used. Afforestation means if we are completely you remove that thing, you can adjust, you can adopt and you can build a new thing. That is nothing but the afforestation. Planting trees to absorb the carbon dioxide. So the trees can play a crucial role to absorbing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. With that carbon dioxide in the presence of the sunlight, with the carbon dioxide and the water in the presence of the sunlight, the plants perform the process is called as the photosynthesis process. In that process, or by this process only, the plants get prepared food by their own. Um, for the but by their own, that food can be stored in the roots, stems, fruits, and leaves. That food only we are taking from that plants, and that's why carbon dioxide is plays a crucial role. As well as the plants, there is a large number, there is a large quantity of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. There is no trees in this plant, then what will happen? There is no use. Carbon dioxide is oxide is also one of the important thing, and plants also is the one of the important. The combination of the water, carbon dioxide in presence of the sunlight, in presence of the sunlight in the body of the plant only we can prepare that food. That's why plants are called as the primary producers. That's why we are going to follow the reforestation as well as the afforestation simultaneously. Then coming to the next one, regenerative agriculture. What is the regenerative agriculture? So farming methods that enhance the soil carbon storage. So what are the soil practices? What are the agricultural practices and what are the soil practices which are following in our farming system that can be practiced naturally? That is nothing but the farming methods enhanced with the soil carbon storage. The soil by itself having the capacity to store the nitrous oxide as well as the carbon. A carbon and the nitrous oxides are the very helpful for the soil health. When the carbon and the nitrogen can have the porosity, and what is the flexibility, what are the porosity of the soil, what are the distance between that soil particle is also a one of the important thing for soil erosion. Not for the soil erosion, soil aeration, AERATION aeration. I'm not going to talk about that soil erosion. Soil erosion is nothing but to wash out the upper layer of the soil. Here I am discussed about soil aeration. Soil aeration, AERATION. Soil aeration means the amount of the gas, the amount of the gas and what are the atmospheric gases can freely enter in that particular soil and freely it come out of this from the soil. That is nothing but the soil aeration. That soil aeration is a one of the most important thing for the good farming and to take the good yielding from the crop. For that one, carbon storage as well as the storation of the nitrogen is the very important thing. For that one, we are going to practice the regenerative agriculture systems or practices as a sustainable practices. Then coming to that, reducing food waste. Ca cut Cuts methane emissions from the landfills. So reducing food waste is cut the methane emissions from the landfills. Here, what are the landfills? Why we are going to mention that the landfills is nothing but what are the waste products, and what are the waste products? We can be what is that? we can be change or we can be clean our environments, then what will happen? Just we have to dig the soil and form a one type of well-lined structure. What are the wastes? What are the leafy waste and what are the other wastes? It can be dumped in that one and closed with that upper layer with the soil. Then what will happen? There is no oxygen and there is no temperature because of the pressure. Temperature means heat. Here there is a temperature will be there due to that methane gases will be produced by the plant residues very highly. There is no oxygen, there is no light. Then what will? There is no water, then what will happen under some pressure conditions with the under some pressure in presence of the oxygen with the temperature, the particular landfills can increase the methane production uh, then the increase that methane production, that methane can enter into the atmosphere due to that soil pores and what are the soil aerated parts. So when we are going to reduce the food waste and the leaf waste and what are the agricultural waste, then what will happen? The landfills capacity will be reduced. Then the emission of a methane will be controlled. This is also one of the sustainable practices. Then coming to that next one, uh, policy. Policy and the global agreements, and what are the policies and what are the global agreements which are taken under that climate change as a solution of the climating, as a solution of the greenhouse effect, as the solutions of the greenhouse effects. Coming to that one, that is the Paris Agreement in 2015. What is the Paris Agreement? The global committee to keep the warming below 2 degrees centigrade. Below 2 degree centigrade. We can control that global warming up to 2 degrees centigrade by that Paris Agreement. In that Paris Agreements, almost all the countries will be participated, and they are going to take some decisions to control the carbon emissions and the greenhouse gases. For all the countries, there are the industries are the very important for their economic growth and then financial growth. And each and of production is the important, food is the important, manpower is the important, the currency will also important. So electrical appliances also important for each and every country, for each and every human being, for each and every country development. All the things which are available in the outside, which is that they are very helpful. So they are the helpful for the development, but they are also cause the global warming to that country, global warming to the world. That's why they are going to put that some agreements or policies to control the emissions, and also some follow them some practices before that particular source can enter into the atmosphere. Before that only the pollutants can be treated in the many ways. After the treating of the pollutants only the pollutants can released into atmosphere. That are the things which are the things which are followed by the industrialists can decrease that global warming, global greenhouse gases. So that is nothing but a Paris Agreement's main aim. And that coming to the a carbon pricing. What is the carbon pricing? The government setting a price on CO2 emission to encourage the reductions. So encourage the reduction. And one more thing is that what are the companies and what are the industries can follow that rules and regulations of that what are rules and regulations according to that pollution. It may be air pollution, soil or water pollutions. They may control the carbon emissions into that society. The government is going to encourage are going to award going to give the consultations in the tax in the tax reductions and the tax paying also. Here the government is setting the some a price for encouraging the reduction of the carbon dioxide. This is also a acceptable and appreciable thing. What are the thing which is the government will take the steps towards that to control the greenhouse gases as a policy and as an increment of the global increments. These are the things. And then coming to the fourth one is nothing but the industrial and the community actions. What are the industrial and what are the community actions? Here I am going to mention using a public transport, cycling, or the electrical vehicles. So the electric is now it is a very available. Yeah, it is also affordable, but The e-vehicles and all are called as electronic vehicles are also called as the e-vehicles. Once we can charge the e-vehicle for 1 hour, it will be give the mileage up to 120 kilometers, and some negatives are also there. But what are the most important positive thing is nothing but it maybe it can control the what are the carbon emissions to our environment. Then coming to the next one, reducing meat consumption. Livestock farming is a major methane sources. Okay, meat consumption. The meat consumption is very common in India, not only in India, all over the world. All over the world, the meat consumption is the very common. For that meat production, we are going to rear the livestock continuously. We can increase the number. Uh, that's why the methane production will be high. When we are going to consume that, when we are going to control the consumptions of the meat, the livestock production will be getting low. Due to that, the methane production will be low. It is a hope. It is not will happen. I think so. There is no vegetarian in this nowadays. Even each and every human in this world can taste that meat. It may be any type of meat or any kind of meat. It is the one of the good thing to control the consumption of the meat, but it is not happen in that normal way, in that easy way. It will want it's want the more and more efforts to participate in that particular thing. Then next one is the supporting climate friendly policies and the business. Can we support? Means supporting means number of startups will be there, number of things will be there. In that startups, in that things, in that new inventions, we are going to follow that. We are going to follow the climate friendly things. And the policies and the business. When we are going to plan a business, when we are going to plan the one startup, then we can concentrate on how we can perform and what are the positives and what are the negatives and how much amount mm, uh, will be will be re- will be we will be take as a income, and how much we can put as a cost and effort of this, and like that we can also think about that climate. It may be climate friendly, or it may be environmental friendly. How can it affect the environment? All the things we have to think first. Then only we have entered into the any eco-friendly or a climate-friendly policies and the business. That is one of the most important individual and community actions, and also as a sustainable participations also. Then coming to the future look, here what is the future look means? Um, Here, what is the future like means if emissions continue, if the emissions are continued for a long period of time, there is unchecked means how much amount of pollutants will come out and what are the pollutants, how that pollutants can change, and how that particular climates or sorry chemicals can affect the emissions can affect them. And there is a no checking at the global warming could be exceeded. Then what will happen? The global temperatures will be increased. Till now, only the global temperature is degrade 1.2 degrees centigrade. If you are not unchecked in the future, look means we are not unchecked. These emissions will be continued like this only. Then what will happen? The temperatures will be increased to 2 to 3 degrees centigrade by 2100. It is a 2025 by 2000, 2100. So 2100 at leading to the catastrophic consequences. However, a immediate action can show can slow the warming and protecting ecosystems and the human society. It is a necessary step which will be taken as a granted step for the future generations to save the earth and so to save the climate. And here I am attached to one picture. In this picture, I am going to explain what are the climatic changes can affect the and how much amount it can be affect our things. Is nothing. Is affect our climate. These are the world. This is the sorry. How much amount is affected to the world? This is the climate changes infographics. Okay, now so it is when the global warming, then the increased 1.2 degrees centigrade of temperature, and if the temperature can be increased 2 to 3 degrees, then 34%, the sea level is affected up to 34%. Then 62% of the pollution, and 2 lakh 2 crore 33,000 vegetations will be damaged. Then 69% of the solar radiations will be coming, and it can be stored in this or in this atmosphere, and the genetic diversity will take place, and 28% of the temperature changes, and 47% of the glaciers will be melt, and it can rise the sea level. In this total picture, what are the part which is present in our left side is nothing but that is the water, and what is the green technologies, and what is the red color which is present in this side, this is the dangerous zone. That's why we are going to concentrate it on this global warming and what are the greenhouse gases. We can change the color of the globe from a red to blue and as well as the green. The most affected thing on the total whole climate change as well as the global warming is nothing but that glaciers melting. The beautiful atmosphere, what are the beautiful atmosphere, beautiful locations which is created by our nature is nothing but the Antarctica glaciers, and what are the Arctic and Antarctica regions that will be a melt, the beautiful places, and what are the sceneries which will be getting rid of due to the global warming. So why? Because the climate changes and the increased rise in temperature may highly affect that glaciers up to 47%. And this is a one chapter, unit 8, which are completed right now. Here I'm going to discuss it one more time. Now we are in the block 3. The block name is the climate change. The climate change and the causes, effects, and the solutions. Here first, what is the climate change? The climate change is referred to a long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns and the atmospheric conditions on the earth. While the natural variations have occurred over millions of years, a recent climate change is primarily driven by the human activities. Then coming to the next one, the causes of a climate change. So, what are the causes of the climate change is nothing but first one is the a natural causes. First one is the a natural causes, that is nothing but the volcanic eruptions due to the releasing of the carbon dioxide and the aerosols that can impact the global temperatures. Then coming to that solar variations, changes in solar energy output influence the earth climate. Then coming to the third one, ocean currents and the cycles, events like even an alio and land and alio affect the global weather conditions. And coming to that next point, and human induced causes. What are the human induced causes? Means in what are the things the human can directly involved in that one, that causes are called as the human induced causes. And that the first one is the greenhouse gases emissions, the burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas, and releases carbon dioxide, the main driven of the global warming. Then the next one is the methane CH4 from agriculture, livestock, and the landfill traps. It's a 25% more potent than when compared to that carbon dioxide, and the nitrous oxide from the fertilizers and the industries. It is a 300 times more potent than the carbon dioxide. Then coming to the next one, that is nothing but the deforestation. The tree absorbed the carbon dioxide, but the large scale deforestation reduces this capacity. Reduces this capacity. Then next one is that industrial and agricultural activities, factories, transport, intensive farming contribute to the air pollution and the emissions. Then next one, coming to the third topic, which we are including in this one, that is nothing but the effect of climate change. The effect of the climate change, the first one is that rising the temperatures. Here, rising the temperature means the global average temperature has increased by 1.2 degrees centigrade since a pre-industrial times. In 2023 was one of the hottest year on the records. Then coming to the bit B, that is nothing but the extreme weather events, a more intense hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, and the wildfires. The next one is the heavy rainfall and the flood in some regions, while other face the desertifications, right? In the third one is the melting ice and the rising the sea levels. The polar ice caps and the glaciers are melting, causes a sea level rise, causes that a sea level rise. As I said, according to that picture, 47% of the sea level will be increases due to that 34% of the sea level will be increased due to that 47% of the polar ice caps going to melt due to this global warming. Okay, then coming to the next point is the coastal cities like the New York, Jakarta, and Mumbai are at risk of the flooding. The next one is the ocean acidification and the ecosystem disruptions. Increased carbon dioxide absorbed the lower ocean absorption of the even the carbon dioxide increased the absorption of the CO2 absorption capacity of that particular ocean will be decreased. Then what will happen? The pH levels will be decreased. When the pH levels will is increased, sorry, pH levels will be increased, then lower pH is nothing but the acidification, the harming the core. It can affect the coral reefs and that as the marine life. What are the species face that extinctions as a habits change to a quickly for the adoptions. Then coming to the next one, impact on the human health as well as the food security. Heat, stress, and the vector-borne diseases like malaria and dengue and the respiratory problems are increased in the humans. And it can also show that adverse effect on the food security. That is nothing but that the crop failures due to the droughts and the unpredictable weathers threaten that global food supply. Solutions to the climate change. So what are the climate change? What are the solutions to stop that climate change due to that greenhouse gases means reducing the greenhouse emissions. Already we discussed the renewable energy resources, transition to solar, wind, hydro, and the geothermal power, energy efficiency, empowering the buildings, appliances, and the transport efficiency. And coming to the third point, a carbon capture and the storage, it is also called as the CCS technologies to remove the carbon dioxide from the air. Then next one is the sustainable practices, reforestation and afforestation, planting trees to absorb the carbon dioxide. And the next one is the regenerative agriculture, the farming methods that enhance soil carbon storage, that enhance that a soil carbon storage. And then reducing is the food waste is one of the most important sustainable practices to store the quality food for our future generations. Cuts methane emissions from the landfills. And the next one is the policy and the global agreements. Paris Agreement 2015, the Paris global commitment to keep the warming below 2 degrees centigrade. The carbon pricing, the government is setting a price on the CO2 emissions to encourage the reductions. Once again, I want to read this point C. Policy and the global agreements. A Paris Agreements 2015, a global a global commitment to keep warming below 2 degrees centigrade. The carbon pricing, the government setting a price on the CO2 emissions to encourage the reductions. The individuals and the community actions here I included is using a public transport, cycling, or the e-vehicles is nothing but the electrical vehicles, reducing the meat consumption, livestock farming is a major methane source, and supporting climate-friendly policies and business. And what is the future outlook is means if the emissions continued unchecked, global warming could exceed 2 to 3 degrees centigrade by 2100 years, leading to the a catastrophic consequence. However, the immediate action can slow warming, protecting ecosystem and the human societies. And this is the picture can explain that how much percentage of the climate changes will happen due to this greenhouse gases. And already I discussed it right now. Then coming to the next one, Unit 9. In this Unit 9, we are going to discuss about the weather and climate, understanding the differences between the, so actually, what is the weather and what is the climate? As weather is referred to a short-term atmospheric condition in a specific place at a specific time. It includes. So, weather is nothing but what is the short-term atmospheric condition? What are the atmospheric condition of a particular place or the particular time on that it may includes the what is the temperature of that particular space at that particular time, what is the humidity and what is the precipitation. It may be rain, it may be snow, it may be hail, what is the wind speed and in which direction the wind can blow, and what is the air pressure and what is the cloud cover and what is the visibility, and these are the things which you are including under that weather conditions, right? Then next one is the characteristics of the weather. What are the characteristics? Changes hourly or daily. So what are the characteristics of the weather is nothing but changes hourly or daily. Affected by a local conditions, example mountains and oceans, measured using meteorological tools like thermometer, barometer, anemometers, and satellites. We can measure the what are the weather of a particular place at a particular time by using a meteorological tools like a thermometers, barometers, anemometers, and satellites. Then coming to that next one, that what are the examples? Examples of the weather. The first AAH. What are the AAH is nothing but a thunderstorm in New York, a sunny afternoon in Paris, heavy snowfall in Canada. So here in New York, there is a thunderstorm will happen. At that thunderstorm, the temperature will very low. Wind speed is very high. Humidity is the very high. Precipitation is also very high. In Paris, there is a sunny afternoons. There is a normal temperatures. There is no large wind. The precipitation is also normal. Heavy snowfall in Canada means it is very common in Canada in this season. That is the particular weather reports of the particular um, time and that particular place. Then coming to that next one, climate. What is climate? Climate refers to the a long time average of a weather pattern in a region or in a region over a decade to the centuries. It is defined by the factors. It is defined by the factors such as the temperature trends, precipitation patterns, seasonal variations, and the extreme weather events. It may be a heat waves, storms, and the droughts. Also, climate refers to the long term, the average pattern of a weather for a decades or a century. That is nothing but the a climate. It may be, it depends on the temperatures, temperature trends, precipitation patterns, seasonal variations, extreme weather events that may be heat waves, storms, or the droughts. Then coming to that next one, what are the characteristics of a climate? So here, what are the characteristics of the climate is observed over 30 plus years. Climate normal period. So we can define, and this is a climate of this particular area. We can give that much of justifying statement for that any particular area. We want to observe that area up to 30 years. What are the weather conditions of that particular area daily? Is there nothing? Is that a climate? Then only we can conclude that that is the particular climate of that area. Then next one is determined by the global factories. Determined by the global factories. So not a factor is determined by the global factors like a latitude, altitude, ocean current, and the greenhouse gases. So what are the factors which are the weather can be placed? What are the factors? The weather can be dependent: temperature, humidity, precipitation, rain, snow, and hail, wind speed and direction, air pressure, and can call. cloud cover, and the visibility. These are about that weather, and these are about the characteristics of the climates. So, okay, greenhouse gases and studied using climate models, historical data, and the satellite monitoring. And these are the three main points which you have to follow to decide that particular area climate. Then, what are the examples of the climate? The Sahara Desert has a hot and dry climate. It can be observed for the decades and centuries. The Amazon rainforest has a humid tropical climate. Means that the climate of that particular Amazon rainforest was observed about 30 years, it may be decades or the centuries, are also determined by the factors latitudes, altitude, maybe a current of the oceans and greenhouse gases. And the climatic changes, historical data will be available on that Amazon rainforest and all. The next one is the Antarctica has a polar climate with a freezing temperatures. Yes, it's true. Then here we discussed that key differences between the weather and the climate. What are the key differences between that weather and that a climate? So future is it is a time frame. Weather it may be hours. Weather means it may hours, days, and weeks. For the climate, we need to observe 30 plus years. Variability means rapid changes. In climate, there is a no rapid changes. There are the stable patterns. What are the measurements we are going to take in that weather means local observations. In for that climate, we are going to observe the long-term trends. For example, today is a 25 degrees centigrade and sunny. That is the weather report. And coming to the climate, this region has a warm summer climate. This is the climate and this is that weather. Then coming to that fourth one, how uh, uh, how are the weather and the climate are the connected? What is the connection between this weather as well as the climate? What is the connection between the weather as well as that climate? Climate influence the weather. A region climate determines the type of a weather it experiences. So the climate can determine the weather experience. Weather variations impact the climate. The what are the weather variations can impact the climate. A long-term weather trends shape the climate records. So long-term weather changes can change the records of the climate, and it is a very important thing to decide the particular climate of this particular area. Climate change affects weather patterns. Hot point is nothing but a climate change affect the weather patterns. Okay, a global temperature causes a more extreme weather events. Example, stronger hurricanes and the heat waves. Can I read that third point one more time? The climate change. What are the climate changes affects the weather patterns? Climate changes. It can affect that weather patterns. It can rise in the a global temp. It can rise the a global temperature and causes a more extreme weather events also, and causing that extreme more weather events, example stronger hurricanes and the heat waves. Then coming to the next one, that is nothing but uh, why does this matter? Why does this matter mean understanding the weather helps in daily activities. Understanding the weather, what is the weather of this particular day, and where we can when we understood that weather condition of that particular area, uh, it may be helps in your daily activities, planning for a trip or forming a disaster response predictions and all the things. Understanding climate helps in the long-term planning, example, infrastructure design, agriculture, and environmental policies. And this is the points. And this here in the by using this picture, I'm going to explain and try to explain uh, weather and climate similarities and the differences. Here the picture is not clear. Yeah, I know. But it is a important picture. Weather of the current state of the atmosphere. It can change the heat waves and the all. And the climate is a long-term state of a atmosphere over a time. It can report as that over changes, differentiating to the place other. These are the, so weather is per particular time, climate is further the time duration will be increases. What are the similarities between the weather and the climate? Means temperature, precipitation, humidity, wind speed, and the sunshine. These are the similarities I observed between this weather and climate. Weather here, that picture is not clear. That's why I added one more here. This is the weather and this is the climate. Weather as a short-term state of a state of the it is the short-term state of the atmosphere. Climate is a long-term pattern of the weather. Climate is the a long-term pattern of the weather. Okay. Then it can change within a minute or a hour. Within a minute or a hour, that is a weather. The average weather over any many years in one specific place. One specific place, that is nothing but the a climate. Then these are about the unit 9. I'm going to revise the unit 9 one more time very clearly for the clear understanding. Coming to that unit 9, in that unit 9, we are going to discuss about the weather and the climate, understanding the difference. In this chapter, we are going to standing what is the weather and what is that climate. What is a weather? Weather refers to a short term weather refers to a short-term atmospheric conditions in a specific place at a specific time. It includes temperature, humidity, precipitation, rain, snow, and hail, a wind speed and the direction, the air pressure could cover so not could cover, it is a cloud cover, visibility, visibility and etc. And these are the factors. These are the factors to identify the weather of a particular place. Then coming to the characteristics of the weather. Then coming to that characteristics of the weather changes hourly or basely. The weather changes, it will be happen. It will happen hourly or daily, affected by the local conditions, example, mountains and oceans, measured using a meteorological tools like a thermometers, barometers, anemometers, and the satellites. The examples of the weather here are a thunderstorm in New York, a sunny afternoon in Paris, a heavy snowfall in Canada. Then coming to that next one, climate. Here, what is the climate means? A climate refers to a mm, long-term average of a weather pattern in a region of over a decades to the centuries. It is defined by the factors as such as a temperature trends, precipitation patterns, seasonal variations, extreme weather events, heat waves, storms, and the droughts. Then coming to that next one, characteristics of a climate observed over 300 plus years. For the clear understanding of the climate, we can observe the particular weather conditions of a place up to 30 years. A climate as a normal period are determined by a global factors, a global factors like a latitudes, altitudes, ocean currents, and the greenhouse gases. Studied using the climate models, historical data, and the satellite monitoring. And examples of a climate are the Sahara Desert has a hot and dry climate. The Amazon rainforest has a humid tropical climate, and Antarctica has a polar climate with a freezing temperatures. Then coming to the third point, key differences between the weather and that climate. It is the time frame, whether hours, days, and weeks in the climate is a 30 plus years. Variability is rapid changes in climate. It is a stable change patterns. Measurements, local observations. Local observation climate is a long-term trends. Example, today is a 25 degrees centigrades and sunny. This region has a warm summer climate. These are the main key differences between the weather and the climate. Then coming to the next one, how are weather and climate connected? What are the connection between the weather and the climate? Climate is influences whether a region, a climate determines the a type of a weather it experience, type of a weather it will be experience. The weather variations impact climate. Weather variations can impact the climate. Long-term weather trends shape a climate records. The climate changes affect weather patterns. Rising global temperatures causing more extreme weather events. Example, stronger hurricanes and the heat waves. Why does this matter? Understanding the weather, it helps in the daily activities. Example, planning a trip or forming a disaster preparedness. Next one is understanding the climate help in the long-term planning. Understanding the long-term planning. Example, infrastructure design, agriculture, and environmental policies. Here I am including that weather and the climate, similarities and the differences. Um, these are the differences. Whether and what are the separation will be there. That is the differences. What are the middle part which we will discuss about the similarities. So when coming to the similarities, what are the similarities means temperature, precipitation, humidity, wind speed, and the sunshine. These are the similarities between the weather and the climate. And this is the clear picture about that weather and climate. The short term state of the atmosphere is that weather. It can change within a minute or hours, but climate is a long-term pattern of a weather. Tropical climate, the average weather over a many years in a specific place. A specific place. This is about that unit 9. Then coming to that one. Then coming to that another topic which you are including in that unit 10, consequences of the climate changes. Consequences of the climate changes. What are the consequences of the climate changes means? Climate change has a widespread and a severe effect on the environment. The climate changes have a widespread and severe effects on the environment, human society, and the global economies. These are the consequences can be classified into environmental, social, and the economic impacts. What are the side effects of the climatic change? Can be divided or can be classified into environmental impacts, environmental social impacts, as well as that economic impacts. Coming to that, what are the impacts which you are faced due to the consequences of the climate changes? First one is the environmental consequences. First one is that environmental consequences. Rising the global temperatures, the earth average temperature has increased by 1.2 degrees centigrade since pre-industrial times. More heat waves and the droughts in many regions, right? Then coming to that next one, and the extreme weather events, more frequent and intense hurricanes, storms, wildfires, and the floods, heavy rainfall in some areas while other face a prolonged droughts. Yes, absolutely. Then coming to the third point, melting ice and the rising the sea level. Melting ice and the rising the sea level. Glaciers and the polar ice caps are melting, rising the sea levels. Low-lying cities, example Jakarta, Mame, and Venice, are the at risk of the flooding due to that melting of ice and rising the sea levels. Due to the glaciers and polar ice caps are melting. with the effect of the global warming, and coastal erosions is a worsening and forcing the communities to relocate. The next one is the ocean acidification, ocean acidification and chloral bleaching. Ocean acidification and chloral bleaching. More carbon dioxide in oceans can decrease the pH of that particular ocean water. Then when the pH levels of that ocean water can decreases, it can affect the marine life very badly. Coral reefs, like as a Great Barrier reefs, are dying effect due to that biodiversity. Then coming to the next one, ecosystem disruptions and the specific extensions. A change in temperature force species to migrate or face extension. Loss of biodiversity affects the food chain and ecosystem. So changing temperatures force the species to migrate or face extensions, and the loss of biodiversity affect the food chains and the ecosystem. Then next, coming to the social consequences, that are health impacts, heat related illness, heat strokes and dehydration, which are very common in hot summer. Uh, and next one is a spread of diseases like malaria and dengue due to the warmer climates. And the poor air quality, respiratory diseases like asthma, lung infections, and many more. Water scarcity and the food insecurity. Droughts reduce the water availability for drinking and agriculture. Then changing the weather disturbs food production, causing the shortages and the higher prices. So, droughts reduce water availability for drinking and agriculture. It is a common thing. And changing weather disruption of food production are causing a shortage and the higher prices. And third one is that a climate refuges and the displacement, rising the seas, droughts, and that extreme weather force the people to relocate. A million risk becoming a climate refugees by 2050. These are the climate refugees and the displacement. As the social consequences by the global warming and the greenhouse gases. Then next one is the economic consequences. In this economic consequences, infrastructures damage, floods, hurricanes, and the wildfires destroy the homes, roads, and the cities. Billions spent on the disaster relief and the rebuilding of the efforts. Then coming to the next point, impact on agriculture and fisheries. Crop failures lead to the food storage and the higher cost. Warmer ocean disturb the fish populations. Hunting, fishes, and the industries. Crop failures lead to the food storages and the higher cost. A warmer ocean disturbs and the fish population may be decreased. Hunting, fishes, and industries. And these are the most important agriculture and fisheries effect due to that global warming. Then coming to that next one, energy demand changes. Hotter summer increasing the demand of air conditioning, starting straining up power grids. Colder winters require a more heating and rising the energy cost. Okay, raising that energy cost. Where is that? Mm. Then coming to the next one, economic inequality. What is the economic inequality here? So developing the countries suffer more economic damage due to the fewer resources for adoption. So developing like India, suffers a more economic damage. It can suffer affect the more economic damage due to the fewer resources for the adoption. So there is a lot of cost. There is no economic production due to that droughts and all. There is no economic production, and there is no economic stability in these developing countries. They are going to adopt, or they are going to buy the new things for the developing. The funds are the funds are not sufficiently available. That is one of the most important economic inequality developing countries like India will be faced in the future when the global warming will be continued like this. The not the pure communities, that is the poor communities are hit hardest by rising the food prices and the natural disasters. Yes, the future outlook, what happens if we doing nothing? If you doing nothing, just we are going to put your hands together and sit in your rooms very coolly, we are not going to care about that climate and global warming gases, then what will happen for the future generations? If the emissions continues at the current rate, if the emissions cannot be increased by god grace, it will be continued like this only, the global temperatures could rise 3 to 4 degrees centigrades by 2100 degree and years. Then more frequent natural disasters and economic losses will happen. Then the widespread of food and water store shortages. There is a widespread up to till the date we are facing a lot of water shortage. But we are not facing any shortage. Why? Because each and everyone is a healthy food. Each and is a not a proper one. Each and available from cheapest cost to highest cost. So there is no food shortage till now. In future, maybe you are going to face, but that water storages we are really facing that water storage problems in that rural areas as well as that urban areas also. Up to 1 billion people may be displaced due to the rising the seas and the droughts. So what are the coastal regions? What are the coastal regions which are present throughout the world? The people who are living in the coastal areas, nearly maybe a 1 billion people can be relocated, can be changed their address, can be changed from habitation centers to habitats to the other places for the better environmental conditions to escape from that floods and all. That is one of the thing which will happen in the future, while we are not going to take any decision about this one. um, then coming to the conclusion, here I'm going to conclude like why combating climate change matters. What are the combating changing matters means? Protect human health, biodiversity, and the economics. Protect that human health, biodiversity, and the economics. To protect the economics of the world, to protect the biodiversity, to protect the human health, we are going to follow the measures to control that GHS, global warming, GWS, global GWG, that is nothing but global warming gases, and reduce the risk of natural disasters and the resources storage. What are the natural disasters here? Nothing but that are nothing but the what are the droughts, floods, rains, snowfalls, seasonal changes, and different weather conditions, hurricanes, tufans, tsunamis. All these are the natural disasters and are the resource storage. That is nothing but the food storage, water storage, air storage. There is no quality of the soil, there is no quality of the water, there is no quality of the um earth. So nothing but the air also. In the future, we are going to buy the pure air for this cost. About this cost, about this cost. It creates a sustainable and a resilient future for the coming generation. So we are going to create the sustainable and resilient futures for the coming generations. These are the main three points I included here as a conclusion. I repeat once again, what are the conclusions of this problem? As of my knowledge, protect the human health, biodiversity, and that economics, reduces the risk of the natural disasters and the resources storage, create the sustainable and resilient future for the coming generations. And these are the 3 points mainly I included here. Uh, Coming to here, once again, I'm going to revise that total topics once again. Climate consequences of the climate change. Climate change has a widespread and a severe effect on the environment, human society, and the global economics. These consequences can be classified into environmental and social economic impacts. The environmental consequence, rising the global temperatures. The Earth average temperature has increased 1.2 degrees centigrade since pre-industrial times. More heat waves and the droughts in many regions. The extreme weather events are more frequent, and the intense hurricane storms, wildfires, and the floods. Heavy rainfall in some areas, while others face the prolonged droughts. A melting ice and the rising the sea level. Glaciers and the polar ice caps are melting, rising the sea levels. Low-lying cities, Miami and Venice, are at risk of flooding. Coastal erosion is a worsening of the forcing the communities to relocate. Ocean acidification and the chloral bleaching, more carbon dioxide in oceans can decrease the pH levels of the ocean water. Then it may be harmful to the marine life. Coral reefs are like as a green barrier reef are dying, affecting the biodiversity, ecosystem disruptions, and species extinction. Changing temperatures force species to migrate or face extinctions. And that loss of biodiversity and effect of a food chains and the ecosystem. These are about that environmental consequence, and second one is the social consequences, and third one is the economic consequences, and fourth one is the future outlook, and fifth one is the conclusions. Here up to unit 10 we discussed here. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Signing off. This is Dr. Kavita Yadav Kanchkatla. Thank you. Thank you all.